You're listening to Operation Self Reset. What do you do when you're not yourself? What is going on, you freaking awesome people? Welcome back to Operation Self Reset. My name is Jake Naraki, coming to you live from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where each and every week we dive into a different topic in the world of personal development. And today is not so much about a book, idea, or a story. It is truly a personal podcast. But before we get into that, Operation Self Reset is sponsored by Health IQ. Health IQ is an insurance company that helps health-conscious people like runners, cyclists, weightlifters, and even vegetarians get lower rates on their life insurance. Head on over to healthiq.com/reset to support the show and to see if you qualify. All right, so today we're going to be talking about kind of a personal podcast, like I said in the beginning, but obviously you guys are going to gain massive benefits because I would assume that all of us have gone through this at one point or the other, if you're referring to the title, when you're not yourself. And it's kind of a question that we all ask ourselves, not obviously in that same exact wordage, but it reflects in the same kind of possibilities. When you just don't feel right, when things aren't working out, when you feel your health is slightly off, when you have that gut feeling, different ideas swarming around, and you'd feel like you're not making the progress, or legitly, what do you do when you're not being you, when you're not feeling yourself, when you're not being yourself? It's a tough question, and where do you start? And you may be thinking to yourself, well, Jake, that's why this show is called Operation Self Reset, so you can reset yourself and poof, abracadabra, puff the magic dragon, you are back on your feet, living large. Obviously, that's not always the case, because sometimes we go through these little dips, as Seth Godin states, that kind of remind us where we're at, kind of pulls us back and grounds us, even though that we're flying high or we're running low. So I'm going to go through 7 ideas on how to get past that moment when you don't feel like yourself. Now, this is not so much when you're feeling ill or sick or you're going to lose your job or anything like that. It's more of a self-reflection on you personally. You're not mentally in the game. You're not in the game of life. And one funny thing about the game is that a lot of people think to ourselves that in the game of life, we need to quote unquote win. And in that progression of winning, sometimes we throw a lot of people to the wayside. But in actuality, the great thing about life, there's a lot of people that can win at the same time. We can all win at being amazing individuals. We can all win at being great friends or family members. We can all win at our health. We can all win in relationships. So it's not so much what can I do for you so you can win personally. It's what can you do to make sure that you and the people around you win and become successful. And to win, aka, or to get yourself back on track, there's 7 things that I want to pinpoint. Now, before I get into those 7 ideas, I want to share with you why this podcast even manifested. Why did this even come out of thin air to begin with? Well, the first thing is, for some odd reason, I am not feeling like myself. I am not with it. I am a scattered brain. I'm doing things that I normally don't do, and you may be, now I'm going to give you some examples, and to pull you into my life, you may be hearing this stuff, and you're like, okay, Jake, that sounds really weak. Well, it is, but it was a reflection and, of course, a wake-up call to myself in the progression of me sharing this podcast with you. The first of all was I started becoming obsessed with news. News and stock market and politics, things that I'm always keep my finger on the pulse, but I never listen to or read more than 10 minutes a day. And recently, I've been craving it and searching for it and reading up on it. I think there's a lot of power in it. I think there's a lot of good things that come out of it. Being knowledgeable in different topics is key to living a well-rounded life. But it was a hindsight for me that something I haven't done in probably 4+ years. The second thing was listening to the radio. I know you're thinking, all right, Jake, these examples are really, really weak here. Well, hear me out. I am a guy that only listens to podcasts or audiobooks. Every so often will I listen to talk radio. That's only when they're talking about the Packers or something like that. I want to get up to speed on the team, the home team here in Wisconsin. But me listening to radio was an eye-opener, and I don't know why I started tuning into it. I don't know what my reasoning was or whatever, but the great thing is that I put the brakes on. I did a reflection here, and I got going in a different direction. And hopefully that pulls me out of this funk. And I think all of us go through these funks. All of us go through these dips. All of us go through these moments where we're like, "Gosh, I just don't feel like me." And again, it's not something that you can put your finger on. It's not something that you know that's coming, like you're going to get sick or a divorce or job transfer, placement, whatever, different types of stuff. It is literally just like internal feeling being that is throwing you off your momentum. And so hopefully here these 7 ideas will pull you through the process. You could also think of this as the beginning steps of a self reset, a self reset for you. So here's the first one. It's the feeling that something is wrong. So I'm reading this book called The Mind Gut Connection. And in that book, they really talk about obviously a lot of feelings and emotions are generated within the brain, but also a lot of feelings and emotions are generated within the gut, and how important it is to take care of your gut, probiotics, good, fermented foods that will enable and keep your gut uh, membranes intact, healthy, and doing great things for you. And I didn't know if you knew this, but there is a huge nervous system that runs from the gut to the brain. And the reason why they call the brain the second gut, or the reason why they call the gut a second brain, is because of the huge network of nerve cells within the gut. And so when we have these quote unquote gut feelings, it's not something made up, or it's not like our mind affecting our brain. Our brain or our gut, man, if I could, confirm on these two aspects here, our gut is actually sending us signals of what is going on and what we should do to make the right decision for us. Regardless of where your feelings come from, either from your brain or your gut or from an external force, regardless, the key here, the step one, is a feeling that throws you off a little bit, that is not normal to you. And once you feel that, you need to roll right away into that second step, which is to be aware. And to be aware is really crucial, because if you are not aware of who you are, what you're about, and how you feel, and these feelings pop up, you're going to bypass them and you're going to go deeper into this rabbit hole that you may not get out of. And so, if you are looking for that reset, if you're looking to get back to your true self, you need to be aware of yourself. There's no book, there's no speaker, idea, 10-step process, quote that can inspire you to be more aware than you just physically, mentally, emotionally need to be aware consistently. And once you're aware, you can check your balances, you can kind of go through a check sheet and outline, okay, I usually feel a level 7. Right now, I'm feeling level 4. What's going on? What happened? And you can kind of alter and kind of walk back a little bit to figure out those steps. But the key here is legitimately be aware. Because when these feelings rise up within you, it's not because they're doing it just to throw you off course. They're doing it for a reason. Our body is wired for us to survive. And I know in today's age, we're not getting chased by tigers or dinosaurs aren't attacking us or anything crazy, but the type of things that are attacking us are now have risen in those places of a saber-toothed tiger or a dinosaur or some tragic event. So even though you feel that everything is going fine, I'm safe, our body is transforming a lot of the inputs that are coming from the external world, and they're putting it in a way that allow us to understand, oh my gosh, I got to get myself back together here. I got to make sure that I'm safe. And out of that, you need to make sure that you're checking those balances with the feelings and emotions that are going on. So, again, number 2 is to be aware. Number 1 is just to feel the feelings. Hey guys, I just want to take a second and talk about our sponsor for today before we get into step number 3, and that is Health IQ. Operation Self Reset is sponsored by Health IQ. Health IQ is an insurance company that helps healthy, conscious individuals get lower rates on their life insurance. Again, head on over to healthiq.com/reset to support the show and to see if you personally qualify. Health IQ uses science and data to secure lower rates on life insurance for health conscious people, and 56% of Health IQ customers say between between 4 and 33% on their life insurance. If you are an individual that wants additional coverage, make sure you check out Health IQ. They are an amazing company with amazing customer support, a legit company that is designed to help the active individual, healthy, conscious individual save money on their life insurance. And who doesn't like to save money? So again, if you're in the department for getting life insurance, head on over to Health IQ and either go on their website, healthiq.com/reset, or if you call the Health IQ customer support number, make sure you let them know that Operation Self Reset sent them over to you guys. So I appreciate you guys, and back to the show. Number 3, reflect. So when you have that first feeling of, I just don't feel right, you have that second step of, okay, I'm being aware what is going on with me personally. There's a couple of things that are obviously going to jump out at you. You know, you're listening to more news, you're listening to the radio more. But to reflect means basically what happened in the past. What were you doing in the past that made you feel level 10? Or what in the past made you feel really good or energetic or happy or joyful, whatever it was. And a reflection is nothing more than scraping back into the past and seeing, okay, on my way to work, instead of listening to the news, I was listening to a healthy podcast or audiobook. Instead of on my weekends just browsing the internet, I was looking for meetup groups or connecting with old friends and reinvigorating those relationships. And so if you're able to reflect, it allows you to see the path from where you were to where you are today. From where you were to where you are today. Now, obviously, you're not going to know every nook and cranny or turn, but it is a start. It is truly a progressional step that is needed for you to understand, okay, I was over here in Oregon, and now I'm in Wisconsin. I got to figure out how the heck I got from Oregon to Wisconsin, and it may take you a little bit. But you know what? You're a smart individual. You're able to take the time needed to make sure that you keep moving forward and advance. And once you reflect, you're able to go, okay, here we go. I see what I did here. I stopped taking care of my health. Well, that's why my energy level's bad. And that's, eating dessert after every meal is not a good decision. So I'm going to cut that out, so on and so forth. Okay? So, number 4, questions. With good questions come good answers. With great questions come great answers. And so the question out of that is, what kind of questions are you asking yourself? Now, obviously, through the progression of figuring out what is going on with you, you're checking your feelings and emotions, you're being aware of what is going on, you're reflecting on the past, where you are today, the present. But to be honest, in that kind of transition period of you reflecting and feeling and all different types of stuff, this is a great point to kind of reaffirm who you want to be, who it is that you strive for, who it is that you want to become, what do you want to reflect as into the world. And this is a great moment to ask those questions. Questions I usually ask myself is like, what the hell is going on, Jake? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And out of these questions, ask a lot of weird things. A lot of weird things pop up. The great part is that you're in a safe environment. It's probably only you asking yourselves these questions. You can do it before bed. You don't have to write it out. You don't have to talk with a spouse or a loved one or anything like that. You can legitimately just ask yourself. And out of those questions, it comes to some really interesting things. And you're able to blow past the garbage. Blow past the things that are on just the top of the rock, that are just cluttering it up with the moss, the dirt. And once you're able to blow that off, you're able to see what is really underneath there. And the best part is that it's only you that's going to see it. You're not showing it to the world or posting it on social media or putting in your blog. It is just something that you can figure out personally. One great question that my son asks me all the time is, he goes, what do you want to be when you grow up? And it's a really funny question when you're established, when you have a good career, when you have a great family, when you have extra things going on, you're burning the midnight oil, you're burning the candle at both sides, you're working on yourself, all different types of stuff. When somebody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're just a little person and they don't understand the world, you first think, well, what do you want to be? I'm already being something. But in the world through their eyes, they don't know. They don't know what you want to be. So in that moment, you're able to manifest, you're able to build, you're able to create this thing that you want to be when you grow up. And it can happen every year. It can happen every month. It doesn't have to happen once when you're in your teenage years. Because as we know in today's society, chances are the degree you got from college is not helping you today with the job that you have. Maybe it is a little bit, but the old school fashion of going to school to, for an engineering degree and going into the engineering field and just sticking to the engineering department may not hold true like it once was. And so, this is an opportunity for you to understand, all right, I'm ready. What do I want to be when I grow up? And with these great questions come these great answers. And at first, you may not know. At first, you may not have the exact thing to say or the right way to go about it. But the best part is that you're able to kind of figure it out as you go through life here. So we got number 1, figure out the feelings or emotions. Number 2, be aware. Number 3, reflect. Number 4, ask the questions. Number 5 is to get a plan. Okay, so we figured out what happened or what worked in the past. We asked the questions of where we want to go for the future, and now it's time to create a plan. Unfortunately, there is no perfect plan that I could suggest for you to get started in. What I can say is this: to work backwards. To understand, all right, if I want to lose 100 pounds, well, I'm going to imagine that I lost 100 pounds, and I'm going to rewind the clock here 1 month out. So if my goal was January 1st of 2019, what did I do on December 1st of 2018 to make sure that I got that goal of losing the weight? And you can kind of work backwards. Or you can do the old school approach of just setting out in day by day, what do you have to do to work towards that goal? Either one of the plans or any other creative plan is great. The reason it is because any plan is better than no plan. Any plan is better than no plan. Any plan is better than no plan. Yes, we get it, we understand it, right? But are you doing it? Majority of us don't even set goals anymore because we think to ourselves, well, I know what my goal is. I'm going to remind myself in the brain, and crazy things happen to us. We get overwhelmed, and next thing you know, we're not living or even working towards that goal. If you don't have a plan, it's not going to happen. I don't care what your game plan is. I don't care the process. I don't care where you start, where you finish, where you end. It really doesn't matter. All I ask of you to sit down and to unfold this plan, to kind of figure it out and work it out of where you want to go. And the last step, step number 7, is one step at a time. It's easy for us to go from point A to point Z, but to miss point B to point Y in between there. But instead of thinking of it like this huge chunk, this huge goal, this huge daunting task of you getting back to your normal self, think of it like this: going from step A to step B, and then from B to C, C to D, one step at a time. One step at a time. For me, to get back to feeling myself, to get my mind back into the game of the business, I need to do one step at a time. I need to turn off the news at my home. I need to start reading some better books. Number 2, on my way to work or driving around, I need to start listening to audiobooks and podcasts once again. I got to get back to my foundational steps, the things that led me here. Now, obviously, in the progression of growth, that journey, these moments of how we were in the past maybe don't apply to where you are right now because you advanced, you grew, you became better. Totally understandable. But in the chaos, in the moment when you just totally lost, when you don't feel like yourself, you feel you're defeated, you're willing to quit, you're about to give up, you need to go back to the way beginning. To that moment when you knew you had the energy, when you had the compassion, the commitment, the passion, and the progress needed for you to get where you wanted to go. And if you're able to do that, great things can come out of it. One step at a time. One chunk to get you back on course. Again, once you get your body and mind and emotional being back up to speed and back moving in the right direction, can you alter it? Can you change it? Can you kind of leapfrog and get back to kind of, a little more advanced? Totally. That's totally fine. I totally dig it. I think that's a great idea. But for the individuals that are really stuck, that are really feeling bad, depressed, anxiety, weird thoughts, weird things, weird emotions, weird moments in life, then you get back to your best time possible. And for you, maybe a while ago. For you, it could be a couple weeks ago. It doesn't really matter. All I ask of you is to reflect in the moment when you have a chance and to see what worked. Because if it worked in the past, it will work again. It just depends on how bad you want it. And in getting back to that quote or that idea of how bad you want it is the truth, is the truth serum. You're listening to this podcast for a reason. You're listening it because there's a message in here that applies to you on this given day, on either right here, right now in 2018, or in in the future of 20 years from now. Everything that you listen to, everything that comes into your life is meant for you at that exact time, exact moment. This is time for you to gather up your things and to figure out who you want to be and to get back on that horse so you can continue to dominate your life. The whole point of living is not to be stressed out or be frazzled and burnt out and hating things. The whole point of life is to go for it, to try, to exceed and excel and do something outside the norm and to play around with things that you normally wouldn't play with and to experience life in a different realm. That's my definition. For you, it may be totally different. You may be searching for different things at different times, and that's totally cool. But all I can say is this: in the progression of our lives, we have two choices. We can either stay stagnant, not move, enjoy, and just be comfortable, or we can live outside of that comfort square and get a little uncomfortable. True growth happens outside of the comfort zone. True growth happens when you start saying to yourself that I'm freaking awesome, I can do this, and start believing it once again. Truth happens and possibility happens when you're able to identify the type of person you want to be and you go, this is going to stink, it's going to suck, but how glorious it's going to be when I finally do make it or when I keep on striving for that person. Do you believe the people that sign up for the Navy SEALs or a very daunting special team within the military? Do you think the most exciting thing that they're going to go through is boot camp or the training part? Do you think they're really looking forward to that? No, of course not. But what they're looking forward to is graduation and of course going out there in the world and making a difference. Protecting, saving, hurting, depending on what they're doing. That's their motive. What's yours? It's time to stop living in that comfortable lifestyle. It's time for you to step outside the means. Throughout our process, throughout our journey, we're going to stumble. We're going to get tripped up. There's times we're going to want to quit. There's emotional moments where we're just like, you know what, forget it. I'm done with this. I had enough. I tried it. I'm all for quitting. I really am all for quitting. This may be shocking to you as from a positive guy. I believe there's power in quitting, but you need to do it under the right circumstances. You need to do it because you feel it's the right thing to do for you and your being, for you to advance, not for you to get comfortable. Because if you're going to tell me that you're going to quit because it's just too hard, it's too daunting, it's too scary, then you're not doing it for the right reasons. But if you're going to quit this one thing, this path, this journey, because you know that there's another journey ready to go, that there's a path that's going to open up for you, that you can strategically move in that direction and advance a little further or quicker, or at least even just to try it out for goodness sake, then I say go for it. So the choice is yours: to live in comfort or to live in uncomfort. Being uncomfortable stinks. It sucks, it's painful, it's irritable, but how great will your book read when it's finally published? As in, how great will your book be when you finally are able to publish that bad boy to the world to see what you went through to get where you are? I think that's amazing. That's a miracle. That's glorious. So if you're looking for a little more fuel in the tank, think of yourself what kind of book you want written about you when you're older. Do you want a book that was written of how many TV shows you watched, how many video games you played, how many parties you went to and got drunk at, or how many Saturday afternoons where you just laid around and did nothing? Or do you want a book that's full of adventure and adrenaline and chance and choice and decisions and moments and opportunities that are like, wow, that was pretty glorious. That was pretty awesome. Again, everything that we do is a choice, it's a decision, and the decision's yours to use this podcast to your advantage or other shows or other audiobooks or whatever. But the real choice really resides within you. Who do you want to be? Figure it out. What do you do when you're not yourself? Because we all know what we do when we are ourselves, but what do you do when you're not yourself? That's when true people rise up to the occasion. and they go after it. So with that being said, I appreciate you guys full-heartedly. I thank you for your time. Hopefully these 7 steps apply to you. In summary here are the 7 steps to get yourself feeling freaking awesome. Number 1, feel it. Feel the emotion that is going through your body. Use that as kind of your first wake-up call. Second, be aware. Be aware of those feelings and emotions. Use them to identify what is going on as almost like a step back kind of moment. Number 3, reflect. What went well in the past? Figure out the progress in the past that allowed you to feel amazing and to kind of use that as a comparison of what is going on today. Number 4, question. Question. Great questions, great answers. Amazing questions, amazing answers. Question who you are, what you're about, what your agenda is. What do you want out of yourself, out of your family, out of everything? Once you do that, give you a little more direction. Number 5, figure out that game plan. I don't care how you design your plan, you need a plan regardless. Too many people are running through life with goals caught in their head. If it's in your head, you're going to forget about it. It's going to get covered up by other junk that's going on. Make sure you write that bad boy out. And number 7, one step at a time. Go from A to B, B to C, C to D, and so forth. Don't think of it as a massive chunk from A to Z. If you do, you're going to get scared. You're not going to want to conquer it because it's too daunting. So with that being said, from the bottom of my heart, you're freaking awesome. Be freaking awesome. Share a little bit of awesomeness with somebody else. I appreciate you guys full-heartedly. I thank you for your time, and I will catch you guys next week, Wednesday, for another great episode of Operation Self Reset. We'll see ya.